Hi everyone, welcome back to Real Talk, our campus weekly video series where we discuss relationships, empathy, advocacy, and life. All of our episodes are pre-recorded and released every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on our IGTV and Facebook through a YouTube link. So as you may have noticed, we have a new face with us today on Real Talk, and we're missing one face, which is Sydney. So we have here with us Holly. So Holly is our new manager of campus counseling and advocacy, taking over Sydney's role. So for those of you who have been watching our episodes for a while, Sydney was previously in that position. She has continued on, is going to kind of continue with us in Real Talk as a volunteer, kind of through maybe the end of the semester, but Holly obviously being in the new position, is going to be joining us. And then eventually it'll be just Holly and I kind of continuing on our Real Talk. So I'm really excited that you're here and excited.
I'm excited to be here.
It's so fun. And it's cool because obviously like these are issues when we talk about episodes of Real Talk, all of the episodes are about things that we would normally be, or maybe not most people, but people like us in this career would normally be talking about with like friends or family, or it just comes up because of the work that we do. And so today's episode is going to be about Valentine's Day. Sydney is away this weekend, so we thought it would be a perfect time to kind of bring Holly in. And so Sydney will be joining us kind of throughout the next few episodes. But for today, it's just you and me. And we thought Valentine's Day would be a good topic, kind of a lighter topic, something that obviously everyone can relate to because it's a national holiday, I guess. Whatever the history behind that is. We were going to start off talking about kind of the good things about Valentine's Day and maybe how couples can connect, talking about how that might look right now with being virtual and everything. So where would you like to begin with that?
I think like starting with partners who may not live together and how you're going to connect in like the pandemic and deciding what's right for you and how you're comfortable with either going out or maybe you're doing a virtual Valentine's Day, like what that's going to look like since it is our first Valentine's Day in quarantine.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Right. Because it happened almost a month.
It was like right before.
Yeah.
It was like a month before we shut down.
I can't believe that we're reaching the year mark of the pandemic.
It's so unnerving.
But yeah, you're right. So this is the first, we passed all the major holidays through the pandemic. And that was challenging for a lot of people, I'm sure, with either both sides of the coin of either being home with family can be challenging or not being able to be with family, that can be challenging. So for Valentine's Day, however people would normally celebrate, I would imagine a lot of people usually go out to dinner.
Usually like go out to like a restaurant, maybe go see a movie.
Right. Like a typical date night type of thing, but just
kind of like what you see in like the romantic comedies.
Right.
Go out, you have fun.
I know. I was just watching an episode of a show that had a Valentine's Day theme, and it was like the person pretended to not like Valentine's Day and then did this huge romantic gesture, and I'm like, that's so unrealistic. Like nobody does that. We like
who has time for that?
And who really can pull all those strings to get like their favorite band to give them a private concert and like all these speakers and decorations. Like nobody has time for that. I don't know.
Unless you hire someone and then you're just spending more money than you need to.
Not a little much, maybe. I guess if you have the money.
Yeah, why not? But
some people are like not big fans of Valentine's Day. Some people are. I think particularly for college students who may be living in the residence halls, maybe you're dating somebody who goes to a different college. So like you were saying, if they're not in the same area as you, and you're doing the long distance thing, that always can be difficult. I'm sure during the pandemic, it's been even more so because of the lack of being able to visit or like see each other in person.
Yeah. And it's just like you miss on that connection.
Yeah. But I know like I was in a long distance relationship when I was in college, and we did a lot of like like movie nights, which I'm sure a lot of people have been doing with their friends and family and stuff too since the pandemic hit, of like doing the little watch parties, which that didn't exist when I was in college, but but it's cool. It's a nice opportunity to like watch a movie at the same time, and it's almost as if you're together and you can package. I've seen a lot of advertisements for like, even for long distance friendships, of sending a care package with like popcorn and like whatever else you would bring to a typical movie night or date night, and then share the care package like at a distance and stuff.
Yeah, and they also have those like lamps now that you can like tap and they change colors, so it changes colors in your partner's room. I think those are so cute. I like want to get one for my friend and I, just so we can do it like a secret code.
I know, I've seen advertisements for those everywhere. But
Yeah,
they
they're
are
all
super
over.
cute. I know, and that's a fun thing to like connect and have that you share. It's almost like the modern day
Yeah.
friendship bracelet.
Yeah, and they have those bracelets that like you can tap it and like whatever you tap shows up on your partner's bracelet or like whoever that has the
Really?
other one. Yeah, so it like pulses on their wrists, so you can like
Whoa.
tap messages. I'm like, that's aggressive, but
I know. I
cool.
don't know. I don't know if I like that. That's a little.
I think it would like freak me out if all of a sudden my wrist started buzzing and it like wasn't my Apple Watch. I'd be like,
Yeah, that's a little creepy almost. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, to each their own.
If it works for you,
Yeah.
great. Not my cup of tea.
But that's cute. I mean, I think like virtually people are probably zoomed out and everything, but there are
Yeah.
still a ton of like fun things you can do. My friend just told me about, I think it's called backyard.co, like .co. And it's like it's a website, but it's almost like you can join um, like a video party sort of with your friends. You like have a specific room or something, and then they have a bunch of like icebreaker like questions, and then they also have games like Cards Against Humanity and stuff like that. So that's kind of and then I know Jackbox games are really fun for people to do. So that could always be a fun virtual.
And I think I used like House Party in the beginning of the pandemic. That was a really fun one. I had like Heads Up.
Yes,
that was hilarious.
I love Heads Up. Oh my gosh, yeah. I know. I downloaded House Party right at the beginning of the pandemic. Used it a lot in the first couple of months, and then I haven't used it since.
Yeah, I haven't touched it since like June. So
exactly.
I'm like, oh.
Well, and it's funny because there's so many companies that are coming out with similar products and services because of the need that we're seeing. But there's a lot of ways to connect. And then for those who maybe are able to be in person safely, maybe they're in the same like pod or whatever it's called, of safe group of people, where you're not exposing others and things like that to the virus or potential exposure. There's always fun things to do like in person, obviously, like the movies and stuff. We're talking about board games and
or like cooking a meal together.
Yeah,
Always fun.
Cooking is great. Especially for college students, if you're like sick of ramen or whatever, like it could be fun to do something like, indulge, buy some fancy ingredients and make something new.
Really we used to, for like Valentine's Day at my townhouse in college, we used to go out and like we would spend all of the money we had just made like working at the bookstore, and we would just get like steak and potatoes and like really go all out, and like it was just such like a fancy meal to be making in a dorm, but it just made it feel special. It was a special day and it gave us something fun to do together, and it was just a blast.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's been one of the cool trends I think that I've seen a lot more in the last like 5, 6, 7 years of the Galentines to like, and this is part of what we wanted to talk about too, that like for those who are in a relationship, maybe Valentine's Day doesn't matter to you, or it's fun to just show a little extra love to your partner, a little extra appreciation, especially this year with the pandemic, like it can be a nice way to like celebrate, like, hey, we made it, or like, we're doing it. we're doing okay. Our relationship is surviving. You're allowed to celebrate, but then there is also just in your face-ness of Valentine's Day that can be overwhelming for people, whether they're single or not, like just everywhere. And then there's pressure sometimes to, like not be single or to be in a relationship or to be on a date or to be romantic or sexual or whatever, that there's all these like expectations tied to this holiday. A lot of people don't consider it a holiday. And I think that the dangers of that can then come from like impacting people's mental health and their self-esteem, and like particularly I think it's already hard in the winter. Like one of my best friend lives in the city, and the dating scene is just tough in general, especially during the pandemic. And then especially during the winter, because nobody really wants to like go out, when it's dark at 4 o'clock or whatever. So people are already struggling with mental health, and then seeing couples and love and romance and blah, just all in your face on movies.
Yeah, it can make you like cynical.
Totally. Yeah. And we were just talking before this episode of social media and like what that can look like too.
Yeah, because like it's just nonstop. It's like you want to go and see what your friends are doing, and then all of a sudden you're like flooded with like all your friends posting something, and like, or the celebrities that you follow, and they're all like, I love my partner, I love this, have you guys gotten this? And like they're telling you to order the like break the chocolate with the hammer or something, and like it's just like, have you seen those? They're like the nice like things, and you break it with a hammer. I'm like, cool, but
all right.
I know, maybe not Valentine's Day, but but like you just see like everything, no matter what social media you're on, and like everything is like, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of pushing you to think you have to do something, and you don't have to.
Right.
You don't want to.
Yeah. And I think there's like, we talk all day long, like in our programs about healthy relationships and dating abuse. Like I will often emphasize as much as I can that like there's a lot of pressure for people to be in a relationship, but it is better to be single and taking care of yourself, dating yourself, getting to know who you are as an individual, rather than to be in a relationship just to be in one, or to stay in a relationship that's unhealthy or abusive for you. So like there's sometimes that's one of the reasons a lot of people may not leave an abusive or unhealthy, it doesn't even have to be abusive, just not good relationship. They'll not want to leave because they think, well, I'd rather have someone than be alone. And that's so hard, but it's a real struggle for people. And I think especially around Valentine's Day, you get that like push of just like, oh, look how sweet my partner was. They did this nice thing for me, or like proposals and like whatever else we see. It can be a lot of pressure, and then may prevent someone from having the kind of making the decision to be able.
Yeah, because you kind of get like this, almost like this feeling like, well, now they're being really nice. Now I get like we're Valentine's Day, like we can post about each other. Our relationship is great. And in reality, it might not be. And that's okay that it's not great, but you have to decide for yourself what you want to do with that.
Right.
And that can be such a hard decision when everybody around you is like, oh my gosh, you and your partner are so cute. Like, this is Valentine's Day. What are you guys going to do? And it's like, well, actually, I was thinking about breaking up with them, but now you're telling me I shouldn't, so I won't.
Yeah, like, oh, they got you such a nice gift. Like, that's so like nice of them. And like behind the scenes, they have no idea what's really going on.
And like the societal pressure just to have somebody, especially if like I find that's really popular if you're a girl, like where you identify as a girl, that's something that's really pushed into like the feminist side. You're expected to have a partner.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because I think even like, we've talked in past episodes about like the lack of representation of LGBTQ folks in media and whatnot. And I feel like that's true for the holidays as well, when we're seeing depictions of relationships, depictions of romance. It's usually the stereotypical heterosexual relationship. It's the stereotype of the guy buying the girl jewelry or chocolate or flowers. But then it's like, why can't we see what that looks like? Maybe it looks the same, or maybe it doesn't matter, but like we don't see the representation of LGBTQ folks in even the romantic, like the positive, let alone like anywhere else. But
yeah, especially for like the jewelry ad, that's a really good point. Like it's always like make her smile, and it's like, well, maybe she wants to make him smile, or maybe they want to make each other, like it's all very gender based, and it's very gender biased, and it's just very stereotyped.
Yeah, I know in so many ways. I think between the gifts that are often like advertised, that you see kind of during this time, and just the way that it's like talked about of what Valentine's Day means, and like even just think about like the proposals and all that. It's like, this push for a very heteronormative kind of view of love and romance and relationships.
I think Queer Eye did something in relations to Valentine's Day with I think it was a lesbian couple, and they showed like what their Valentine's Day kind of looks like. I think the woman wanted to plan a Valentine's Day for her partner.
Aww.
And they kind of went through that, which was kind of cool. And you kind of saw like it really normalized the LGBT community, because like I feel like like a lot of people don't notice that their love is love. Like love is love no matter what. And the way they celebrate is the same way that a heteronormative couple would celebrate, but it's just so not talked about. It's almost taboo when the holidays come up.
Yeah, I know, they're just like left out of the conversation and left out of representation in the media, or like in cards and things, you know, like I think about like non-binary people and like folks who don't identify as female, male, whatever their identify, or however they may identify, that's not reflected in like cards that you might give. It's always like for her, for him, or whatever.
Yeah. It's not, there's never like a gender fluid card.
Right. Like for my non-binary love or something that.
Yeah. But they should, because that's representation and it's just completely missing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make your own cards, but
yeah,
it's nice to be able to just go buy them like everybody else can.
Right, exactly. You shouldn't have to. Yeah. Well, and I think that's, you know, part of like, we've talked a lot about like the lens in which we often speak in Real Talk and in our, because of our own lives and our own experiences. Is, you know, like I come from a white perspective, I come from a female perspective, a cis female perspective, a hetero perspective. So it's like there's a lot that is missing in the conversation about all of these topics, light, heavy, whatever. And I think it's something I notice now all the time when I'm watching movies or shows, that I'm always like, God, I wish there was like a black male lead instead of another white male lead, or whatever it might be. But or like that the romantic, what's it called? Like the person that the main character is like falling for, the romantic like lead,
interest.
Interest. Yes, thank you. That's the word. I was like, yeah, that like the romantic interest would be like a black man or any person of color. Like there's just oftentimes it's like the white knight, you know, or whatever, like
and like in Schitt's Creek, they made, obviously David is gay in Schitt's Creek, but there's still not that representation of color in Schitt's Creek. It's a lot of white, and yes, he does date men, and like they do show that the family doesn't really care, which is awesome. Nice. Like they don't even make it a thing.
Right. It's just so normal that it's not highlighted.
It's not talked about. Like it's not like it's ignored, but it's so normal to them. They're just fine with it. And it's just, there's not a lot of representation of like people of color in that show.
Yeah. Totally got off on a random tangent with that, but it's 100%. But it's true. It's important. But I think going back to some of the things about Valentine's Day, for those who are watching who might be feeling the like sting of Valentine's Day, of like, you know, fearing going on social media because the anxiety of like, what am I going to see? Like, oh, I don't want to notice all the people sharing all their love and professing their love for each other, or like whatever that may look like. Just knowing that like I don't even want to say it's okay to be single. It's normal to be single. It's okay. It's more than okay to be single. Like there's nothing wrong with being single. There's nothing wrong with dating yourself and getting to know you. There's nothing wrong with caring about Valentine's. It's okay if you like Valentine's Day. It's okay if you don't. Like, I think there's so many, like we've touched on a lot of different pressures from society, and it's 100% okay to just be authentic to you and what interests you, what makes you happy. And if you need a break from social media, delete it off your phone for a week or two, like, you know, or delete the app off, or, you know, just try not to go on as much. Like that can, I think, particularly during the pandemic, a lot of people are relying on social media to connect, which is great, but it definitely can have an impact negatively on your mental health. So if you need a break, take a break, you know?
Yeah, it's a great time to like find your self-care and like decide what's going to make you happy. If you like art, make art, or listen to music, or find a movie that makes you feel good, or
or do a Valentine's Day, or I don't know what or a non-binary, or a male, whatever. A Valentine's. I love it. Is that new? Did you just make that up?
I think I just made that up. I always say hi, pal. Like pal is my thing. So Valentine's.
I think that is so cute, and that's perfect. A nice like neutral term that people can use. Yeah, because it doesn't, it doesn't have to be the romantic like connection.
No.
Valentine's Day can be something that you share with friends or something you share with people in your life that you care about. So, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you go and buy like the half off candy the next day. Like that's my favorite thing about Valentine's Day is going to get the half off candy the next day.
Totally. All the chocolates, all of the
Yeah,
chocolates.
it's 50% off and I'm like, yes.
Score.
Do I need this? No. Am I gonna get it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Why not? Am I going to
Treat
eat all
yourself.
of it? Yeah. And am I going to feel bad
For
about it?
sure.
No.
Nope. Not at all.
No guilt. And that's actually, it's a good point too of like, don't feel guilty for self-indulgence. Like maybe
Yeah.
it is whether it's the chocolate or the whatever, like that you're
Or you take
indulging
like a 20-minute bubble bath. Like, do
in.
you. Do what makes
Yes.
you happy.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, I mean,
Especially in quarantine. You need to
right.
do what makes you happy.
I was going to say that's true for any time, but especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, cool. I feel like that's almost a nice natural place for us to maybe wrap up
Yeah.
our conversation. Do you have any other final thoughts or things you want to share with our audience?
Just take your time. Like take time for yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And if you're doing that, then you're already a step ahead of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I know we kind of like touched on it and then shifted subjects a little bit. If you are in a relationship that feels unhealthy or unsafe and you're feeling those pressures or pulls to kind of stay because of the holidays or whatever that may look like, just know that we're here to help you kind of process any of that, or if you want to talk it out, you can always reach us. So otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this episode and want to welcome Holly to Real Talk. We're so excited, and of course to the Women's Center.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to continue our episodes with you. And Sydney will be kind of joining us back in for some, and we'll have some good stuff coming your way. But if you have any thoughts or questions or concerns about what we talked about today or any other things, you can always reach us by email or you can call our office. Just know that we are still totally available for you if you need us. And remember that all of these episodes are pre-recorded and released every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on our IGTV and on our Facebook page through YouTube link. So we hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a lovely holiday or however you want to look at it. And tune in for next week's episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.